Hi, everybody. I wanted to go over what my mini lesson was with you guys. So, the grade level that I'm currently placed with is second graders, and I'm at Westwood Elementary in Dayton, Ohio. And they have been working on getting into the nitty gritty of informative writing. So, my mini lesson was centered around that. We covered facts versus opinions, and this tied in with standard W.2.2, which is using facts to help develop points. This is a skill that even a lot of adults struggle with, and I think it's really important at a young age when you're just starting to get a feel for academic writing that you learn the difference, and that can be a skill that's developed further. So, some of our essential questions covered what is fact versus opinion, and when do I use facts? And we talked about how we use those in informative writing. And this total lesson took about 10 minutes of time. So we started off by each kid got one Skittle and one M&M, and I asked them, which candy do you think is best? And about 60, no, it was closer to 80 percent said that the M&Ms were better, and the others said Skittles. So then I asked, well, how do you know which one is better? Um, Called on some kids. One kid said, because I said so. So that was a good talking point. In this case, I explained to them that we were looking at opinions. We were talking about which ones we thought better, not which ones were better. So then, to focus on facts, I asked them, "What's the weather like outside today?" One kid said, "Sunny." How do you know that? I check the weather app every morning. It's about 70 degrees out. It's nice and bright. So that was a good way for them to discern against the two. And then we also made a anchor chart to go alongside of this. I'm going to link that in the descriptions. So that's kind of how I went through and modeled fact versus opinion. And the engagement piece really boiled down to them developing their own opinions and seeing how that differed from a fact. We had a really good debate over it. I'm more of an M&M person myself, but I understand the Skittle side as well. During the independent writing portion, what I had them do was create their own facts, and then they had to do the share piece by presenting that to the people within their table group. They usually work in clusters of 4, and it's pretty varied in terms of skill level. We do have a couple kids who are not writers in the sense that English might not be their native language, or they just struggle with penmanship. So I gave them the opportunity to verbally share, um, just because um, sorry, just because I felt like that was more beneficial for them to just have the understanding piece at the moment rather than the physical writing. That's something that I want to work more towards too, but in their cases, it's only about 4 students. I felt that having that guided instruction and more individualized approach in a small group would have been more beneficial to them. So after they shared in their clusters, they had the option of sharing their facts out loud. We have about 6 kids end up doing that, which sparked some good conversation. One kid accidentally shared an opinion piece, so we were able to talk about that, um, and how it was not something that would have been good to include in informational writing. And the informational writing that they're doing right now is about Christmas. It's themed back to the holiday that we're at right now. So we talked about how we've read a lot of cool things about different like Christmas traditions across cultures, and how it was a fact because that is something that has happened. And we connected this to their future learning by talking about how now that we know what a fact is, we can always, always, always write using facts and not opinions. So when I reflect on this lesson, something that I think went well was that engagement piece. The kids that I have can be a little squirrely sometimes, so if it takes giving them candy to get them to listen to me, that's what it takes. They had fun with that, And something that I thought was tricky that I would change is that I think it would have been better to maybe introduce opinion one day and then fact one day and then juxtapose the two. Just because I think for some of the lower learners, it might have been a little bit tricky to just go straight into the compare and contrast between those two ideals. And I think that's something I learned about myself as a teacher of writing is that I probably should incorporate more models. Um, I did verbally, but not necessarily written other than what we put on that anchor chart. And I think having them, um, after we formed the anchor chart, write a couple samples of facts with me would have been a really great way to do so. I have 22 kids in that class, and 17 are below grade level. Um, so they need those extra supports, and I think that's something I need to work on is adapting my ability and skills to do so. And that's kind of something that I've been learning about them as writers as well, is that they do need a lot of support. Um, and this is the first time I've worked with elementary kids, so that's still something I'm learning to navigate. Sorry, lower elementary. I've worked with fourth, seventh, and eighth. So that's still something that I'm learning how to navigate. So this has been a really great experience for me, and this course has been as well, just learning how to differentiate those approaches and target the students who need the most help. Thank you for listening.